For God and country, we associate ourselves together for the following purposes:
to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America,
to maintain law and order,
to foster and perpetuate a 100% Americanism,
to preserve the memories and incidents of our associations in the great wars,
to inculcate a sense of individual obligation to the community, state, and nation,
to combat the autocracy of both the classes and the masses,
to make right the master of might,
to promote peace and goodwill on earth,
to safeguard and transmit to posterity the principles of justice, freedom, and democracy,
to consecrate and sanctify our comradeship by our devotion to mutual helpfulness.
Each of the 10 clauses of the Preamble, though brief, has a significant meaning.
For God and country, we associate ourselves together.
The basic foundation of the American Legion and its work flows from this prelude, which recognizes the influence of God in our endeavors while declaring loyalty to our nation.
to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America.
The Constitution of the United States is the written foundation of our nation's freedoms, way of life, and representative form of government. Members of the American Legion served their country in uniform to preserve the rights guaranteed within it.
To maintain law and order.
Law and order protect the safety of our families and our right to pursue happiness. Members of the American Legion have served in war to restore law and order in nations where all control have been lost. They know the chaos that comes when law and order are disrupted and dedicate themselves to abiding by it and protecting it locally and nationally throughout the United States.
to foster and perpetuate a 100% Americanism.
Americanism is the essential combination of freedom, justice, individual rights, and responsibilities that define us and what we stand for. Americanism is pride in country, expressed without reservation, and the duty Legionnaires have to impart patriotic values to new generations.
to preserve the memories and incidents of our associations in the great wars,
The common bond among Legionnaires is wartime service in the U.S. Armed Forces. It is a bond forged on battlefields and bases, at sea and in the air, all around the world. Those who have faced danger and death together form a deep camaraderie, one that spans a lifetime. This is why the American Legion remembers the fallen on Memorial Day and salutes the sacrifices of all who have served on Veterans Day. It is why the American Legion builds monuments to the war dead and to battles long since ended. It is why we unite with fellow veterans and share experiences, lest anyone forget.
to inculcate a sense of individual obligation to the community, state, and nation.
The American Legion's strength depends on people who consider community service a natural extension of military service. Legionnaires are capable volunteers, charitable fundraisers, event organizers, and responsible citizens. They respect the democratic process and participate in the governments of their communities, states, and nation. Having fought to free others from the oppression of dictatorships and tyrannies, they see the ability to influence change as a privilege not all others have, and exercise it responsibly.
To combat the autocracy of both the classes and the masses.
America is a nation of diverse cultures, and those who have served in the armed forces know that race, creed, or economic background have no standing on the battlefield. All are equal. The American Legion admitted women as members before women had the right to vote. The American Legion admitted black veterans as members decades before the Civil Rights Act passed. Gender, color, and economic status have no influence in the American Legion, which promotes fairness and justice and dismisses prejudice and pedigree within the organization's own ranks and beyond.
To make right the master of might.
A strong U.S. military is necessary to confront nations that would use force to control or conquer others. With U.S. military power comes the responsibility to protect individual human rights, freedom, and safety abroad and at home. No child should grow up in fear of his own government, terrorists, or an invading army. Those who would do harm to the innocent or imperil neighboring states must be deterred by a well-equipped and highly skilled U.S. military.
to promote peace and goodwill on earth,
No one desires peace so much as one who has known war. The American Legion supports the U.S. Department of State and its mission to seek diplomatic solutions to problems that might otherwise lead to armed conflict and destruction.
To safeguard and transmit to posterity the principles of justice, freedom, and democracy.
Justice, freedom, and democracy separate the United States from most other nations. These are values over which much blood has been shed in battle. Veterans have an obligation to pass along to younger generations an understanding of those values and how they must be protected. History shows that they can be taken away or weakened, and the ransom for the return is often paid in human lives. Such principles are the topics addressed by speakers competing in American Legion youth oratorical contests. They are ideals taught through scouting. They are the lessons taken home from Boys State and Boys Nation. They are gifts that cannot be taken for granted.
To consecrate and sanctify our comradeship by our devotion to mutual helpfulness.
The final clause of the preamble is perhaps the most important. Devotion to mutual helpfulness was the founding purpose of the American Legion. When American Expeditionary Force troops gathered in Paris to conceive the organization, their thoughts were with the sick, the wounded, and the psychologically damaged among them, their comrades, who would forever have the American Legion on their side.